Good morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish.
And I'm Jada McLeod. All right. So in a world where technology and security continue to intersect, a new partnership is taking flight. Literally. The Aviation Security and Tactical Institute, better known as ASTI, has teamed up with Air Support Tactical Security Limited to launch a drone training program. This collaboration promises to open up new opportunities for training, innovation, and job creation in the field of aerial security and surveillance. Joining us now to discuss this exciting initiative, Mr. Jason Singh, the Business Support Manager at ASTI, and Amafika Luke, drone lecturer and a former member of the TTDF. Good morning, guys. Welcome.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you guys? Thank you for having us here.
Of course. How are you
Greatly
guys
appreciate.
I'm fine, actually.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's a really early morning. I don't know, like, what was the drive up?
No, the drive was good. I was actually tired, but because Monique slept for about 2 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you're running on E.
I went to bed early last night, so I'm hopefully I look camera ready like you guys do. So.
Were you a Boy Scout?
Yes, I was.
I could have told.
Right.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit more about the partnership in general between ASTI and Air Support Tactical? Why was that necessary?
Right. Well, drones is not a new technology, but it is something that it's expanded and evolved and exploded so much in the last years. There's been, the initial introduction, and the market was relatively small. It was for select people. Then it's expanded to the consumers and the enterprise side and the different applications. So what we want to do, especially in this region, in the Caribbean region, not just Trinidad and Tobago, but everywhere, we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, operating ethically, following the local restrictions, regulations, laws, take everything into account and be able to safely operate these. Because there are toys and there are hobbyists, but there are so many different applications. We need to consider not just personal security, but national security as well. So that's where Mr. Luke and his experience and expertise comes in, and all of these services that Air Support provides for the region. Mr. Luke?
Yeah, so for me, it started off like a hobbyist, just wanting to fly and stuff. And over time, I realized that, hey, this is something that we use to make work life easier. And work life as a former soldier would have been safety, security for the men on the ground. So it was a passion that developed. It started off as I'm watching everyone flying their drones, and it's more or less for parties or for weddings. And it's like, hey, we can do so much more. We can do so much more. Because for me, I am thinking the big picture, as big as possible. So I'm looking at national security, I'm looking at agriculture, I'm looking at construction, I'm looking at search and rescue, all the different aspects that can make it easier. Because when you have a drone in the air, you don't have to deal with traffic. You can go from point A to point B in under a minute. It's nothing you have to worry about up there. And then you have the overall view of everything is on the ground. So it's not like you have to be continuously following a subject. You can be as high as zoom in, and you have the full picture. So I was looking at all of these things, and when I had approached ASTI before, I spoke to Dr. Peters, he's the dean, and when I asked him, I said, hey, do you have any programs dealing with drones and stuff? He said, well, we have, but it's not really in-depth. So we had a conversation for about roughly half an hour. When I actually went to the office for the first time, he wasn't there. And as I was leaving, he was walking in.
Look at that.
And we actually started a conversation over a car. And I said, but by chance, you and Dr. Peters? He said, yeah. And we started to talk, and it's like, and right there on the spot, he said, here, what? I feel like it hire you, I said, not now, not right now. Because at the time I was in Defense Force and stuff. So it was rather interesting. So when I fast forward, let's say 6 months to a year later, I came to him, we spoke in depth. He said, "Can you do a manual for me?" I said, "Yeah, I could do a manual for you." He said, "That's a little training manual." So no problem. And the training manual, which was supposed to be about 15 pages, turned out to be a
short compilation.
Turned out to be a book, a literal book.
How long is the book? Can I read it in a day?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Can't read it in a day. So when I gave it to him, I submitted it. He called me back. He said, "Luke, we have a problem." I said, "What is the problem?" This is not what I expected. I expected a small pamphlet, you know. He said, this is not a certificate, a 2-3 day class. This is classes." Yeah. And we started to develop the program. So it took like 2 years actually. And it was 2 years of a lot of late nights, research, and then it is just to compile everything, to make everything fit. Yeah. So my aunt, actually everything I do, I try to go back to her for advice. So when I'm typing, I do a section or whatnot, I bring it to her. Yeah. She reviews it, you know, okay, make an error here, do it, and that's how we would have been going. And when it was finished, how it was designed in such a way that as time changes, it could evolve as well, because technology is something that's always changing. And it literally, in the space of 6 months, we went from, as I like to use the example, this, a little pond, to an entire ocean. Because I remember it was one of the first classes I did. You know, we had like 30-something slides. That was a class. Now a class is 40-something, 50-something, 80-something slides.
Okay, I'm going to have to pause you again. Let's just backtrack for a second for people who may not know what drones are. I mean, if you're living under a rock, can you backtrack and tell us what it is?
So, if you look at drones had a very long history. It was used in the early 1800s as first basic technology, balloons and stuff like that. But more or less in the 20th century, it was more for hobbyists. Hobbyists was the ones who, you know, you go out in the park and you're flying a little thing. And over the years, it developed a lot, whereby